So you made a decision, or at least you're starting to. But here's the truth most women don't want to hear. Decisions alone don't change your entire life. Ownership does. Welcome to episode 2 of the Laws of Iconic Leadership, becoming a woman who is unapologetic and totally unstoppable. And today we're talking about the moment your power actually comes back to you. And I'm not talking about when life gets easier or when things calm down, but the moment you stop waiting to be saved, you stop waiting to be rescued by somebody else. But stay with me because I'm going to give you a tool at the end that will show you exactly where you've been giving your power away and where to find that tool. So let me be very direct because I'm a no bullshit kind of girl. No one is coming to save you. Not your partner, not your clients, not your audience, and not your next strategy, and definitely not the economy or the algorithms. And the longer you're waiting for somebody else or something else to come and save you, the power, you're losing so much of it. You say you want the next level of success, but you're still asking, why is this happening to me? Instead of asking, where am I participating in this? So the question, yeah, that question changes everything, right? So you're living in a reactive state, if I had to probably guess. You're letting circumstances lead you and guide you every day. Your mood decides if you show up fully today. Your energy decides if you actually execute, and fear decides if you're expanding. And you call it being a human. No, it's being unavailable for leadership because leaders don't wait for life to feel good. They lead themselves anyways. So you think the problem is time and lack of support and lack of clarity, but it's not. The real problem is that you're still waiting for something or someone outside of you to change first or literally give you the thing that you think that you need. So let's talk about the real cost of waiting, right? When women wait, the real cost delays income. The real cost is you stay stuck in patterns you've already outgrown or income ceilings that you definitely want to outgrow. You probably keep repeating the same cycles, whether it's in your business, in your life, with your health, or your relationships. You keep repeating these terrible cycles that are keeping you stuck, just with different circumstances, right? So in business, you maybe don't launch, you don't lead, you don't hold standards, right? I see this show up in leadership where you avoid conversations, you tolerate things that you shouldn't, and you probably shrink instead of leading your team to greatness. Now, in your life, this kind of shows up as you just stay almost ready. And here's the truth. Waiting feels really safe. I get that. But it's also where your power starts to disappear, ladies. I didn't learn this concept from a book. I learned it the hard way. You see, there was a season in my life where I was completely out of alignment. I was unhealthy at 213 pounds, smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day, drank to numb out the pain, and I was on antidepressants, which completely threw off the meds in my mindset and my mental and emotional health. But I was also very disconnected. I was running patterns I knew weren't serving me, right? I would eat, I would feel guilty, I would, try and starve myself, and then I would feel shitty, and then I would eat again. Like these are the constant cycles, right? In my relationships, ever since I was a little girl, I would find toxic people to be attached to. And then, I would feel love and security and safety. And then all of a sudden they would hurt me. And then I would be like, no more, never again. And then boom, I'd find myself back in a toxic relationships. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about patterns. Okay. In business, the pattern could be you just had a $20,000 month or a $10,000 month. And then all of a sudden you went into a spiral and then you had 0 month, -5K a month, whatever it looks like, right? So these patterns are not healthy. But I remember sitting in the doctor's office. I heard some truth that I had been avoiding for over a couple of years. And the truth that I heard, right, the wake up call that sparked the truth It was honestly truth that I was avoiding. Like I said, it was avoiding it for so long. And the truth was that if I kept living my life the way I was, my life was going to look very different than I thought 10 years from now. Okay, the doctor, in fact, gave me a 10-year death sentence. She said, that little girl, your kids are not going to have a mama in 10 years if you keep up this toxic lifestyle. And you would have thought that that moment changed everything for me. But that moment didn't change jack shit. Not immediately. Because awareness alone does not shift anything. It's the start of a transformation, but what actually changed was the moment I stopped asking, why is this happening to me? And I started asking, what am I going to be doing about it? That was the moment that everything shifted. My wake up call actually came the next day, sitting on the couch, staring at a picture of my mom who was obese, who was struggling with cancer, who was constantly stressed, who was living a less than amazing freaking life. And she was my hero. Don't get me wrong. I worked beside her. She was a badass entrepreneur. There were so many amazing things that she was, but there were so many things that she wasn't and that she didn't have. And that was when the light bulb went off. The light bulb was, Carissa, this is your life 10 years from now. The doctor was right. And that was the moment I actually started asking, what the hell am I going to do about this? Because I was making excuses and I was blaming everyone for my circumstances and I was triggered as hell at everything. So when that doctor told me that I was obese and that I was not going to be living in 10 years, I was so angry, right? My emotional mastery was like at a zero compared to what it is today. But that day, that aha moment, that light bulb moment that went off for me, and the question that I started asking myself, what are you going to do about it, triggered a new me, right? That was the real moment that shifted everything. And not because it was easy, but because I took radical ownership of my life. I took ownership of my decisions, the excuses that I was making. I got out of the passenger seat and I got back into the fucking driver's seat of my life. And I see this happening with so many AAA type, ambitious, high level women constantly. They know what to do, but they're not moving. And when we go deeper, I've realized that it's not really strategy, it's ownership. I had a client one time, incredible business client, right? Very strong brand, but she was consistently overwhelmed. Therefore, because she was so overwhelmed and so reactive all the time and triggered and like all of the things, right? She was missing out on opportunities. She was dropping the ball. And her pattern? She was blaming time, blaming capacity, blaming her circumstances. But on a mindset magic call, a moment shifted, right? Where she stepped out of reactive mode and out of victim mentality and into ownership. Everything changed for her. Same business, same strategy, right? Different leadership, which then gave her different results. So I want to tell you about the law of radical self-responsibility. And you guys, I'm going through the 10 universal laws of iconic leadership. These are laws that I have written a book about. This is my philosophy for how I've been able to go from broke, homeless, dropout teenage girl who had a baby at 15 to a self-made millionaire. These laws is actually what drove the needle forward in my life. So, this is law number 2, the law of radical self responsibility, because power returns the moment a woman stops waiting to be saved. This is where you move from reaction, trigger, into leadership, from effort from effect, right? Living in effect of everything outside of you to living in cause, right? So, this is the shift from what I call princess thinking to queen mentality. Because responsibility isn't blame, you guys. It's freedom. The moment you own your role and the life that you have and the decisions that you make and the energy that you put out, that's when you take your power back. So here's what most women misinterpret this, right? They think I just need to do more. No, This isn't about doing more. It's about seeing yourself differently. It's about seeing and becoming consciously awake of the stories and the excuses that have been keeping you busy, keeping you stuck. And I get it. These stories, these excuses, these things, they've been keeping you safe too, right? But it doesn't really take away from the fact that you're honestly avoiding responsibility. So if you could just start to take ownership of your actions, your decisions, and who you surround yourself, like full getting out of the back seat of the car and getting into the driver's seat, right? Owning your patterns, owning your excuses. That is what's actually going to get you a lot further than blaming everybody, blaming the economy, blaming your partner, blaming, and creating excuses. No time, no money, the economy, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, that is victim mentality. The moment a woman starts asking herself, what am I going to do about it? And what is the role I'm playing? That takes the responsibility and puts it back in her hands. And that's liberation, right? That is freedom. That says, holy shit, I'm in full control of my life. Okay. So the real shift, you guys, is becoming conscious of what you're giving your power away to. The excuses, the stories, the limiting beliefs, and then consciously choosing differently. That's the work of radical self responsibility. And this is exactly why I created a tool to help women start to step into full ownership. It's called the Radical Ownership Audit because most women can't see their own patterns clearly. But inside this tool, you're going to identify exactly where you're living in reaction and where your power is waiting to be reclaimed. You can access this tool inside the Alpha Queens Rising community. It's my free space for all women to come and grow and lead and expand and evolve, right? Self mastery, business mastery, leadership mastery. This is a free place. It's a free space for ambitious women to come and get the support that they need, to ask the questions, to do the work. And yes, I said free, right? A lot of clients pay me. But a lot of women are not quite financially secure yet and ready to do that. So I didn't want there to be any freaking excuse. All right. So these tools that I am about to share with you yesterday and out of the next 9 days with this mini series are all available to you. So guess what? You don't even have the excuse of you don't have the resources or the tool. I am trying to eliminate one of your excuses. Okay. The excuse that I don't have the resources and I don't know how to do it. I'm giving you the how. I'm going to help guide you into the how. And this space is absolutely free. Okay. So if you're ready for deeper work, of course, high level leadership work, self mastery, becoming the fucking woman who is totally unstoppable and unapologetic. Those are the women that actually come to work with me. And if that's you, if you're like, I'm ready, then of course you can book a private call with me. But don't just listen to this show and nod along and think, God, this is me. Is she talking to me? Because I guarantee you probably are. I want you to use these resources. I'm just awakening up something you probably already know to be true. Because guys, I get it. Those stories, those excuses, those limiting beliefs, they're keeping you safe. They're keeping you in your comfort zone. But a real leader knows that growth is not going to happen inside the box. Okay, we have to be willing to step out, take the risk. Your dreams are worth it. So I just want to remind you, no one is coming to save you. That's not bad news. That's your power. Because the moment you stop waiting, is the moment you actually start leading your life. And that is where everything changes. All right, you guys, join me for tomorrow, Universal Law number 3. I am so excited because this is a huge game changer for any woman who is really, really challenged with showing up consistently in her life and her business to achieve all of her goals and dreams. So stick with me. I promise this mini series is totally kick-ass. And if you are liking this mini series, go ahead and comment below. Subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss a single episode, right? Every Monday, we do an actual podcast interview, either with, leading experts in the fields, entrepreneurs, leaders, women who are freaking making magic. And then every day I'm constantly giving you guys the how-to tools that I truly believe, guys, if these were the tools, if these universal laws were actually taught in our school systems today, we'd have less obesity, less poverty, less suicide, less mental health and emotional health issues. Okay, I truly believe in this work and it is changing hundreds of women's lives and it can change yours too. But you've got to go ahead and like and subscribe and comment below on our YouTube channel and come follow us, right? And you can, of course, find the links to the Alpha Queen Rising below as well as in the comment section. So, Queen, I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.